Hello and welcome to Love Anything Art. Today I'll show you how I made this really cute thing with some scrap clay from my previous video. And these are my scrappies from a previous video. Actually, two previous videos. And I'll leave a link for that in the description box below. For this first part, it was like little shavings of some pretty teal colored clay and white clay. And then this was from a separate video where I made a Skinner blend using some very pretty light colors. You should check that video out. Lots of fun things in there for you. And then this is part of that teal color that I used. And then some alcohol inks on top. So let's start that really fun idea. I'm going to use a mold, and I have this mold here that I've had for a couple years, and it's been very handy. I'm going to make a little circle. Make sure you remove all cat hairs first. Then I'm going to take some of those little shavings and place it in one of those little circles, and then just keep packing it in until it is nice and full. No rhyme or reason to how you put it in there, just put the stuff in there. And then pop it out. And you have this really pretty little swirly pattern. Ooh, pretty. Next, I'm going to use some of this Skinner blend. Just take a little piece off, and then you'll just want to roll it out. It doesn't matter how you do it. You can twist it up and mix up the color. Kind of wanted it to be a little bit of a variance of color, so I'm not going to really do any mixing, but I will just take a little chunk and roll it out. And once you get it to be fairly thin, I find it easiest to put it on a folded up piece of paper and roll it. That way it doesn't stick to your fingers or the workstation, and it will remove some of those oils and make it a little bit more firm to work with. Once you have it to the thickness that you would like, you'll just take it and fold it in half. And then you can twist it up. While I'm kind of working on that, I do want to welcome everybody to my channel. If you are new here, hey, that subscribe button is just saying, hit me, come back next week, every Tuesday. And then for all of my returning subscribers, I am so glad to see you here. Thank you for joining me for another fun little project. So I'm going to just continue working on twisting. You can twist it as much or as little as you would like. You do whatever you want to do. You just make it all nice and pretty. Something that you'll like. I cut off those messy ends. You don't want anything messy on your pretty piece. And then I'll just start wrapping it around the base of my little swirly circle. And once you reach the end, you can just stack it on top of the previous layer and keep going up. And you can make it wrap around as many times as you want. I really just did about the 2. And then with the little bit that was left over from the tail of that, I just swirled it up and put it right there. Made a nice little centerpiece for my little pattern piece. And now for the last bit of scraps here. And this is kind of the fun part, and it comes out really pretty in the end. I really like it, all of the pastel-y colors. But just take all of your scraps and then just start lining them up side by side. You kind of just want to make a nice little flat veneer piece. So no rhyme or reason, just stack them just side by side. You do want to get it into kind of a square rectangular shape. And then you can use your fingers to start pressing everything together. And then gently roll it with your acrylic roller. And then flip it over and start placing some of those pattern pieces on the back side too. Just lining it up all the way across. And then just gently roll it again. I am going to put this through my pasta machine, so I do want to get it just a little bit thinner. And now I have my pasta machine ready. I'm going to place it on the thickest setting. And then I'll place it in there lengthwise, the same way that the clay is facing. Bring it down through there once. And it kind of already has a really pretty pattern. You can leave it like that, or you can fold it in half and put it through there, which is what I will do, but you do not have to do that. You can fold it as many times as you would like. The more you fold it and run it through the pasta machine, though, you're going to lose your pattern and colors, and it might become a muddy mess. So less is better in this instance. And there you go. Kind of stretched it out a little bit. Alright, now that I have that ready and my little centerpiece ready, what I want to do is make a outer ring for my little centerpiece. So I have these two different circle cutters. I'm just kind of comparing it to see how much of an outer circle it will make. So I'm going to go ultimately with the larger one because it has more of a further ring around the outside, so you'll have more clay showing. But you can do any size that you want. And with my clay, I will want to fold it over so that it is a little bit thicker, but I want to make sure that my clay cutter fits all the way across. And that fits just perfectly. Just give it a gentle roll to fold those two sides over together, like a sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly, please. With the crunchy peanut butter in there. And then just cut out your little shape. I actually wish I had a shape in between the large and the small circle cutter, but ultimately I decided to go with the larger one. And it actually turned out very nice in the end. And I'm going to use this tool that I use quite often. I really like the pattern that it makes on the clay. So just take and roll that across there. It does distort the shape just a little bit, but I'm not pressing really hard, and I'm going to recut out my circle shape in just a minute. I'm going to do that on both sides of my clay. And then just make your circle again and cut off all the excess. Those are scraps. You should save those for another project. Wink, wink. All right. We got our circle nice and beautiful. Look at that pattern I made on there. Super simple, but I think it adds a nice little touch to the project. And there you go. That's how it will sit there in the center. Once I have it kind of placed pretty much as close to the center as possible, I'm going to take my handy dandy cutter. I'm going to cut it as close to the center as possible. We're just eyeballing this, folks. Doesn't have to be perfect. That is the beauty of it. I like it when things are not completely symmetrical. And those are my two halves. And at the last minute, I decided, you know what? I think I'll put a little texture right there on the rim or edge of the piece that I just cut. And I'll do that with both of my pieces. Gives it a little something something. You let me know what you think. Okay, now I want to cut off a little bit of that rim around the edge. You can use any kind of cutter that you want. You can get as close to the center little bubble as you would like, or as far away as you would like. I do want there to be a little tiny lip so that I can connect my two pieces. You'll see here in a little bit. So I thought this circle worked best. And be sure to put the circle cutter with the smooth side if you have a circle cutter that has one little jagged edge on there. That way you have a nice, smooth, seamless cut. And you'll see here what I mean about the little lip on both sides once I give it a cut. And when you peel that away, you have a very tiny little rim around the outside of your centerpiece, and then your ring for the outside. And I will do the same with the other side. This piece kind of reminds me of a birthday cake. I like it. So at this point, I'm just kind of seeing how I'm going to lay everything out before I bake it. Make sure I have everything the way I kind of want it. See if I want to add anything else, take anything away. And I did decide before baking to put a little bit of these old makeup powders on there. You can use any color that you want. You do not have to do this step. And I just thought it added a nice little sparkly touch to it. So I put a little bit on my fingers, and then I just ran it over those little twisties that we made earlier. And then I also decided to put a little bit around that edge on the outside. And then right here on the inside where we made that little pattern. Now that my piece is baked, I can start applying all of my metal stick pins. I'm just kind of deciding where I'm going to lay everything out, how many I want to lay out, just kind of planning it out before I start drilling in my holes. And I'm going to make a couple of these little bent pieces for the top and the bottom. And I'll just kind of briefly show you here how I do that. I'm just taking my circle cutter, holding one end of the metal stick against it, and then taking another tool and bending it down so that it takes the shape of the circle cutter. Just gives you a nice, even, smooth, round surface. You can just make a couple of those. And then you just start drilling your holes wherever you want all of your metal stick pins to be. You just want to line it up so that the other side is drilled in the exact same spot, so that your metal stick pins sit on there properly. And I did glue in one side there once I got them all to the length I needed them to be. And then I glued in the other side. And then gently start placing the two halves together. And I did the same thing on the outer rim. Just drilled in holes. Put in my stick pins. And now I'm ready to put in my hanging piece. And this is just a large, very large jump ring. I'm just going to cut exactly across from the machined cut on one side. So I end up with two halves. I'll put one on one side and one on the other, and that will be for hanging my necklace. Just drill a hole for the top part of your half jump ring. And then you'll drill a hole for the bottom and place in some super glue and then attach it to your piece. And you'll do the same with the other side. You can use any wire that you want for hanging. I did ultimately choose some stretchy cord, as you'll see here. I just liked it because it was very light and it went with my piece. And it'll kind of look like it's suspended around your beautiful neck with these beautiful pastel colors. I really liked this project and how it kind of morphed and became what it did. I hope you enjoyed this video too. I hope you hit that subscribe button. I hope to see you next Tuesday. I hope you visit my Instagram account and subscribe to that too. And see you next Tuesday for some more fun. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!